Stack Overflow versus GitHub, Avia ESOL, Info 4307, Knowledge Management Tools and Technologies, University of North Texas, May 6, 2024. What are knowledge management tools? Knowledge management tools are softwares and programs that help organize, create, and share knowledge within an organization or community. These tools consist of softwares, intranets, instant messaging platforms, as well as shared learning environments and other knowledge management tools. For this project, we will be using a use case. For this use case, we'll be using a company called Company X. This is a large firm with a development team that has over 300 members across 5 office locations. This is a hybrid work environment where some developers work fully remote and some are hybrid, coming in 2 to 3 times a week. Knowledge reuse for this team is about 20 times a week, which is 80 times a month. This team also has team members that leave or transfer about 1 to 3 times a year, and team members that are constantly updating software that was previously worked on by another team member. This company currently utilizes an in-house knowledge base where most of the information stored there is out of date and difficult to find. This team is looking to implement a new knowledge sharing tool that will increase knowledge reuse, make collaboration easier for remote and hybrid users, and make onboarding easier for new team members and team members that are switching projects to something they have not previously worked on. The first option for a knowledge management tool that we'll be using for this company is going to be Stack Overflow for Teams. So Stack Overflow for Teams is a shared space questions and answers site for software engineering teams. This program is specialized from the original Stack Overflow, and it is designed to be used within an organization for teams with a more individualized approach for organizations. This software is designed to meet 4 main issues within a software team: collaboration, productivity, reskilling and upskilling, and rapid growth and hybrid work. The second possible software that we will be exploring is going to be called GitHub. GitHub is a collaborative cloud-based Git repository that allows developers and development teams to store, manage, track, and control changes to codes and projects. GitHub for Teams allows you to personalize GitHub for your organization. When implementing a new knowledge management tool, there are 6 main focuses that we do want to look at. The first of which is going to be strategy. Strategy just defines how we are going to go about implementing this knowledge management tool within an organization. So it really focuses on what are the main goals and objectives of implementing this knowledge management tool. The second is going to be culture. The culture is the people and how the knowledge sharing culture already is at that company and what you want it to look like post tool implementation. So that means building a culture that is collaborative and focuses on continuous learning. The third is going to be processes. And these look at what are the processes for capturing that knowledge, organizing it, and sharing that knowledge throughout the company. The fourth is going to be leadership. And leadership is going to focus on who is spearheading this knowledge management implementation. The fifth is going to be technology, and this takes a look at the technology that's already being used at this company and the technology you're introducing. This also looks at the infrastructure of the current company to ensure that the technology that you're implementing will work seamlessly with the current technology that's being used. The last is going to be politics, and that is simply the politics of the office, or organization. When implementing new knowledge management, you will have to convince leadership and some of the higher ups that this is a necessary change, and some people won't always want to make that change. So politics deals mostly with convincing your leadership that this is a necessary change and the benefits of that change. Now we'll look at some of the benefits of both Stack Overflow and GitHub. Some of the benefits of Stack Overflow is that this works alongside existing software to centralize knowledge. It does also have built-in features to find related questions when they are asked so that you don't get repeated knowledge created. It also helps so that if someone is in the process of asking the same question, it can essentially find related questions. If that question's already been asked, it will direct them to that. It also has a markdown mode so that users who are asking questions about code can input that code directly so that it will show up in a code-like format. Team and team member tagging also allows you to directly tag a team member that you want to ask a specific question, and you can tag knowledge experts. Verification also allows for answers to be verified post solution. So that means that if someone has worked on a solution and it did work, they can go back and verify that that solution is correct and it does work, so that for anyone going after, it can be a verified solution. Some of the benefits of GitHub are the code review feature. This allows you to see live code changes and to merge those code changes with existing code. This also allows you to see previous code changes that are in the system so that you can go back and look at the previous code. It does also have a separate discussion area that allows the community to ask questions and have discussions. And you are also able to request code reviews through GitHub directly to those teams. Users are also able to search and pull code from GitHub's public website as well when you use GitHub for Teams. Both Stack Overflow and GitHub are more software development focused. The main difference of these are that Stack Overflow encompasses a wide range of topics, whereas GitHub mostly deals with within the software engineering space. Both do have benefits to teams of developers. With Stack Overflow, by recording the questions, it essentially creates its own knowledge base so that you have a record of those questions asked, answers, and users can also create articles, and by doing so, essentially the users create their own knowledge base. Within GitHub, it also has a feature that is similar to this with the code version history. By providing a version history, users are able to essentially also create a knowledge base, but it only limits it to sort of it limits it within a coding space. Overall, I think that Stack Overflow does a better job at creating its knowledge base automatically than GitHub does. For the cost benefit, for Stack Overflow, they do have 3 different tiers of pricing. One is the free version, the second will be the base version, and the third will be the enterprise version. There is also a 4th tier, which is a custom pricing, which allows companies to modify which features they want and which ones they don't, and adjust the pricing based on that. For GitHub, it does also have tiered pricing, but they only have 3 tiers of pricing. The first is going to be the free version, the second, the team version, and the third is the enterprise version. While you'll notice that the enterprise version is significantly more expensive, it does come with a lot of additional benefits for companies. The main downside to this is that there is no custom option for GitHub, so you cannot choose which features that you want and take off the features that you don't feel are necessary for your company. There are additional add-ons that you can add as well. For scalability, I do feel that Stack Overflow has a bit of a limited scalability, whereas GitHub has a much easier time scaling up or down. Stack Overflow, the amount of team members you can have varies based on which tier you have. For instance, if you have a 50 or smaller, you can use the free version, but if your company has over 50 team members, you cannot use the free version, as this only allows for 50 teammates. The same goes for the basic. The basic's maximum team member count is 250. So if your company has more than 250 users, then you cannot use the basic version as well. The upside to this is that it does have the customized version where you will work with someone from Stack Overflow, where you can choose which features you want, and you can choose the amount of team members on that plan as well. GitHub is a lot more highly scalable, meaning there is no maximum or minimum number of users for any of the tiers. The price is simply per user, no matter how many users it is. For Stack Overflow's interface, this interface is extremely easy to use, as all of the basic features are right in their expected places, so I don't feel that new users will have a hard time finding what they're looking for. The only downside to this is that the Stack Overflow interface is very busy, where it can be a bit overwhelming when you first open it up, since there are multiple panes with a lot of text, and it just has a very busy look. GitHub's interface, however, is very minimalistic, and there is information in each section, but none of it is very busy. Each section is also under a different tab, making it for an easy time. As you'll notice, there is a dashboard for you, but there is also the chat and the other sections on the left-hand side. Alright, as for the limitations, some of the limitations of Stack Overflow is that it does not allow for real-time code changes. That means that most of the questions answered will be with a copy and paste code, and that can sometimes leave room for error. Also, some of the questions asked may have limited context about the project or the specific purpose of the question, which can sometimes be confusing for people trying to answer questions without the full context. GitHub's limitations are that there isn't very intense learning curve. Because GitHub is so involved, new users may have a difficult time using the platform if they've never used it before. The other limitation is that once GitHub is implemented, it is usually heavily relied on by development teams, so switching to a different platform if companies find something that they like better can be very difficult and taxing. And again, with the limitations, some of the things that I did notice is that with the context not being able to be provided in full, because sometimes teams are working on secure projects that cannot be divulged to other team members, this makes it difficult for questions to be answered. This can be overcome with making a separate team channel, but this also limits the users to the knowledge of only those on their shared team instead of people who might have more experience or a better solution to their problem. With GitHub, the biggest limitation is that learning curve. With it being such a large learning curve to successfully implement this program and for it to be usable by individuals who have never used it before, it can take a while to use it, especially if you want to use it to its full advantage. And this can take time. So companies might not see the return on their investment immediately with this tool. For this company, I do recommend that Stack Overflow would be the best tool for this company, as it is easy to implement. It allows companies to use the software by itself or to add on to already existing software, which can make implementation a lot easier. With the ease of implementation, this means that this software can be integrated into the company faster, which means that they will see their return on their investment a lot sooner than they would with GitHub. While I do feel that GitHub is very useful and is a very powerful tool, the time that it takes to implement is a bit long, especially for companies who are looking to move their knowledge management system over immediately. I'd also recommend that they use Stack Overflow if they're looking for a software that they can customize to their features, because Stack Overflow allows teams to customize what they want and take out the parts that they don't feel are necessary for their team. Overall, this makes this the ideal knowledge management tool for this company. And lastly, these are a few of the references I used to collect my information. I do feel that finding information for this subject was a bit difficult, especially within the 5-year time frame, as GitHub has been around for a lot longer, so finding current relevant information for that was a bit more difficult, especially using peer-reviewed studies. As for my conclusions, I do feel that both of these programs are very useful, especially within the software development space, and if possible work really well together if implemented together. But if a company is deciding to go with one or the other, I would definitely recommend Stack Overflow, as it does have an easier time being implemented within companies. But both are really strong knowledge management tools and can be very useful to software development teams.